Welcome back to the eve of NFL Week 12, Thanksgiving, and the Sports Syndicate podcast. We are the tri-state twosome of the South Philly Psycho and South Jersey's favorite son, Nick, and we have a ton of stuff to cover leading into this week. Some news, some releases, some picks. It's going to be fun. Stick around. You're going to love it. I guarantee it. Let's go.
I'm outshine the same day they signed Tory. The Smith beside me, yes. My wrist is shiny, yes. At all times, catch all signs. Shots fly, no Anakin. Olive Garden, wrap a towel fit inside a ramekin. Fucking breadcrumbs, turn breadsticks when that tech spit. Cause that marinara soak you. Safety off, you ain't Joku.
And just like that, we're back. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. And man, it's been a good. It was good last week. Some great games, some upsets. It was definitely a great week this week. Just watching things unfold. We've got a couple of stories on coaches. We've got Hall of Famers. We've got everything. I think we'll start with what Nick and I were just privy to and discussing off air, and that was apparently the LA Rams are in trouble. I had no clue, but St. Louis sued them, the city itself, over the relocation of the Rams in the first place, and citing breach of contract, even saying the NFL violated its own rules of relocation to move the team to LA in the first place. And turns out the suit was held up in appeals and then going and was headed for trial. The Rams and the NFL decided to settle with the city of St. Louis for $790 million.
Jesus.
That's well said, Nick. I'm not going
It's incredible. I mean, I get it. They breached the contract. I understand that. I mean, I guess I really necessarily don't understand it. I just know it's a lot of money. And if you breach a contract, it doesn't matter if you're the big NFL or a little mom and pop shop, something's going to happen. So the law, laid it down, smack it down on the NFL. And you know what? Roger Goodell's going to wake up tomorrow and say, you know what? Whatever. So he doesn't give a shit.
This is true. True. I mean, it's amazing because usually, when you end up settling any lawsuit, it's for a fraction of what you had originally asked for.
And that
in itself begs the question, like,
what
how much did they want in the fucking first place? Like,
Jesus.
how? I'm serious. I gotta look it up. I gotta figure out how much like the average NFL franchise is worth, because almost $800 million in a settlement is ridiculous.
Yeah. Now, while you look that up, I'm going to give the loyal fans and listeners a Thanksgiving stat. The tradition of football on Thanksgiving began in 1876 with a game between Yale and Princeton. The first NFL games were played on Thanksgiving in 1920. I don't know. I thought that was pretty cool.
And the first turducken debuted in the mid '90s. Just extra fact. Sorry, I'm looking it up now.
Yep.
How much is an NFL franchise worth?
Do. All right, let's see if I have any more.
Let's see here. According to recent studies, the average NFL franchise is worth $3.48 billion.
That's insane. That's insane that a company, just a team, an organization is worth that much. I know there's a lot that goes into it. If you look at the Cowboy Stadium, it's not just a stadium. It's a shopping center. It's this, it's that. It's, it's a lot more than just a stadium. So I could understand that when it comes to Dallas, but like the Browns?
No, that's what I was going to say. When you break it down even further, the most valuable franchises, the Cowboys are actually at number one at $6.5 billion.
Of course.
The Patriots are right behind them at $5 billion. The New York Giants come in third at $4.85.
Yeah.
And then it goes on from there. According to Forbes, the Los Angeles Rams, and now it won't show. It cut the article off.
Of course, you got to pay nowadays. Pay for everything. Yeah, and it's crazy.
Yeah,
too.
the Los Angeles Rams are worth just over $4 billion. They just gave up almost $800 million of that in a settlement. Now, I don't know how much the NFL is willing to sport, or if they're going to split that. I don't know how that works.
Yeah,
but
good point.
Jesus, yeah, yes, Lexi, thank you, and thank you for showing up. That is absolutely insane.
Holla, holla, happy Thanksgiving if you celebrate it. Or if you did.
Absolutely. Happy Thanksgiving, Lexi.
Happy belated Thanksgiving.
No, she's originally from Chi-Town, and now she's up in Maryland. That's our home girl. That's the EST of TRWT.
You guys have nicknames for everybody.
And that's Lady Scorsese herself. So shout out to Sweet my
now,
sister.
Would she be in the cabinet if, when Wendy becomes president?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Lexi's probably smarter than Wendy and I put together. We definitely put her in the cabinet. That's if she wants it, she's got it. Faux show.
There you go.
But yeah, it's just an insane number, y'all. Like I know sometimes you hear about how much NBA franchises are worth, and your jaw drops, and then
or just an NBA contract.
Yeah, just an NBA. For real, just an NBA contract. It's like, can I get one of them $200 million deals? I'm never going to play a minute, but can I get it anyway?
Let me settle that times 2, and I'll still be happy.
Right. I'm just wondering what the city of St. Louis is going to do with this. Like,
yeah.
I think things are going to be a lot nicer in St. Louis. I just have a feeling when you get $800 million out of nowhere, you can spruce some shit up. That's all I'm saying.
We're probably going to build back better.
And just
politics.
Oh no, we're not gonna go there. We're not doing that.
No.
And some quick hitters too, because as I was looking up that, I saw this. We had some releases this week. We had the Titans got rid of Adrian Peterson already.
That's crazy.
I think it's crazy, but it doesn't really come as a shock because they brought him in. He wasn't doing very well, but they also brought in guys like Deontay Foreman. And he was playing just as well as Pederson.
Just get hurt?
McNichols just got hurt, but then they found that kid Hilliard, and they brought him in off the practice squad, and he had some nice runs and like 82 yards receiving in his first game.
Yeah.
So I guess they figure we can do just as much with these guys as we do with Adrian Peterson or whoever. So they just rolled with it.
And I guess he wasn't selling much merch.
I guess not. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
how long could his jersey be available if he was there for 3 games?
I guess they could still sell it regardless. So yeah, it's not like wrestling.
True. Very, very, very true. Very true.
Thank you. It's the nicest thing you said all day.
I say nice things. Who knew? And the Texans let go of Phillip Lindsay, who. Yeah, that's where he is if you didn't know. They seem to have everybody that you didn't know where that. Like, if you didn't know where a running back was, chances are they were on the Houston Texans. Mark Ingram, Rex Burkhead, David Johnson, Phillip Lindsay. And that list has gotten shorter and shorter. They traded Mark Ingram a couple weeks ago. Yep. Now they've gotten rid of Phillip Lindsay. And that's kind of sad. I mean, a couple of years ago, he was one of those, one of those underdog stories, like late draft pick that comes in, starts producing, looks good, and then all of a sudden things change.
Yeah. He was reliable in fantasy when he was with the Broncos.
With the Broncos? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know he filled in for me a couple of weeks in, a few years back when there were some injuries and things, and I was happy to have him. But the last few years
that, David Johnson in that trade, it's just incredible how
I know
how different the team looks.
Like how much do the Houston Texans regret that trade at this point?
Yeah.
Like, I know what they say.
Yeah.
I get what they say.
Yep.
But
yeah.
How much do the Houston Texans regret trading DeAndre Hopkins at this point, considering what they got back?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They regret it right now. The whole Watson thing. I mean, like you said, the 4 or 5 different running backs, like just go on the depth chart. Oh, that guy still plays. Oh, that guy still plays. Holy shit, he's still playing.
Yeah. And I seriously think he's a guy who could probably help, a playoff team as far as Phillip Lindsay goes. Like, if somebody needs a dual threat back, like the Bills, their running game is
they got Singletary, and that's about it.
In the words of MJF, their running game is mid,
Yeah.
the Titans might be able to use him, considering, like we said,
Yeah.
with McNichols being injured, he's definitely a good receiving threat. Could
Yeah.
fill that role. Maybe that's one of the reasons they got rid of some of these. Got rid of Adrian Peterson outside of production.
Yeah. I could see him going to like the Chiefs or the Bucks.
Yeah,
It just seems like Belichick, or not Belichick, geez, Andy
Belichick.
and I don't know. It just seems like Tom Brady, whatever he wants, he gets, and he got Antonio Brown. I mean, he got the Forsett, right, the running back from
Yeah.
the Jaguars. So
I mean,
could
he
see it.
certainly didn't need him against the Giants. That game was ugly, and
Yeah,
it felt like almost as soon as that game was over, the Giants announced that they released Jason Garrett as their
Yeah.
offensive coordinator, which I guess I can say my bad, y'all, because we were talking about Joe Judge a few weeks ago, and I had said, well, they already have an experienced head coach on their roster in this guy, and man, they got rid of them quick, didn't they?
yeah. Well, they needed a scapegoat. I mean, he didn't throw the 2 interceptions. He didn't get the 4 or 5 yards that you needed to get that first down. Like, he wasn't the playmaker. So I get it. It's an scapegoat, but Jones threw 2 interceptions. That did not help. Obviously, the Buccaneers were on revenge tour. They just lost against a pretty good.
They dropped 2 in a row.
Yeah,
that was crazy. Like,
2 decent teams. So
they brought it up. I guess I was watching a little bit. I watched the first half with like the Mannings on Monday night, and man, they were saying in the first 7 games, Tom Brady had like 3 interceptions. In the last 2 and a quarter, he had 5.
Yeah. Yep.
But he was able to right the ship against the Giants. I don't know how much that means. I'm sure Jason Garrett wasn't the one giving up 30 to the Bucks, so there was that.
Yep, he's just the scapegoat. We all know.
Before we get to some more, let's. We got some comments. Awesome. That's why I love doing this one. How about them Niners? No, they look good, Ivan. Shout out to my man here. They look damn good this week, and if Brandon Ayuk is out there, you may want to look at him in fantasy. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I've finally been able to unleash Deebo Samuel on my fantasy roster, and if he's not catching passes, he's running for 80 yards and a touchdown. So I love him no matter what.
And Jimmy
Go ahead. No, you first.
Jimmy G's looking good. I know they play the Jaguars, but they're back to 500. I mean, Ivan, they're building back better. They're doing what an NFL team needs to do during this time. So it's exciting to watch.
And Nick and I will love this comment. Or how about them Cowboys?
Yes. I love it. I love watching them struggle. It's just one of the best things in life.
For me, it really is. It's like, there's my family, and then there's watching the Cowboys struggle. But for me, that's like the top 2 in life. I don't know what else to say. And I'm going to double down with Chris's comment too. That says, maybe I'm being too negative, but with what I've seen this season, I'm not sure what the Cowboys need to look at more in the upcoming draft: offensive line or wide receiver. Chris, they keep saying they're pretty stacked at both. I mean, they blew a lot of first round draft picks on that offensive line in previous years. And then, they re-signed Amari Cooper. They drafted CeeDee Lamb. They drafted Michael Gallup. They've got some guys even behind them that can be serviceable. But if I had to go with either one, I might say wide receiver.
Yeah,
I'm thinking if anything, they got to worry more about their defensive line, because they don't seem to be able to have either A, healthy bodies, or B, guys that can't stop getting suspended. So there's that.
Yeah. And
that's just my take on it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think overall it's just being healthy. I mean, no one is there every week or every game. It's, Zeke's out, or maybe, this guy has to step up, or Dak's hurt, or there's just so many injuries. I mean, the list can go on and on and on. Obviously, they need to get the first downs. That's a big thing.
I'm not a Cowboys fan, obviously. That's a dub moment. But I know Chris is, and I know a few guys, and I know a few people that are. And if you're a Cowboys fan, you have to wonder if, you lose game here, you lose game there at the end of the season. Are the wheels going to come off like it always does? Because the Cowboys jump out to a great start, And then regardless of injuries or production or what, they somehow find a way to go 8-8 every season.
Yeah.
It's what got Jason Garrett fired. And I don't know if Mike McCarthy is honestly that much better of a coach. I mean, I know he had Aaron Rodgers. That helps.
Absolutely.
Dak Prescott doesn't hurt.
No.
But when we think of great coaches, anybody sitting there going, that Mike McCarthy, he's right up there with like Belichick and Andy Reid and,
not even close.
Bruce Arians and Mike Tom. Is he really in that tier? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so, especially when you look at what LaFleur is doing in Green Bay with less weapons than McCarthy had.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I said it.
Yeah, I just think, like I said in the beginning, he needs better protection and they need to stay healthy because they have the talent. I mean, Zeke, I don't know. He's up and down, but if you get him the ball and he's healthy, he's really hard to stop.
When you look at the Cowboys year in and year out on paper, they look like a great team, and they come out and they play well for a while, and then all of a sudden things start to slide downhill, and the next thing you know, they're maybe 9-7, maybe 8-8, and they get in the playoffs, but then they kind of just because they've had a very talented roster, and they built on it. They traded for Amari Cooper, they've drafted guys like Diggs and Micah Parsons and all that. They've done everything they can. Yeah. Diggs is amazing at corner. He's probably going to.
But he fell off too.
But he still has more than a chance of breaking the all-time record for interceptions in a season.
Yeah.
So it's like you'd have to fall off when you're on like an easily record-shattering pace that stood since like Night Train Lane.
Yeah, that is a good
it's been a minute. I'm just saying, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
And looking at Devin's comment here, he says he's listening to us while he works. Thank you, Devin. I appreciate that. We hope to get you back on here soon. Yep. That reminded me that there are scattered reports saying that after this Thanksgiving game, Matt Nagy will be terminated. Fired, he gone. Like there's just as many. It's kind of split. There are reports saying that he will be fired. There are reports saying that those reports are bullshit. So it stands to wonder what's actually going to happen. I guess we'll find out after tomorrow, but it wouldn't really surprise me if they did let him go at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, with Matt Nagy, it's been we discussed it a few weeks back.
We did,
and I even discussed it with Devin on the first show. It's been up and down for this guy. He always says he can't find the right quarterback to fit his system, but he's mowed through quarterbacks in 3 or 4 years, and they're still not very good. And they're going back and forth with the quarterback this year. And eventually it's like, if you can't find somebody for your system, then your system sucks and you got to go.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of Pittsburgh, but not exactly, not similar. But, Pittsburgh needs a quarterback. Roethlisberger is going to be, out as of maybe next year or the year after. And it just seems like, what do you do with Tomlin? And then vice versa. What do you do with Nagy? I mean, it's tough because we always talk about it. The quarterback is the number one position. If you like it or not. That's legit. That's a fact. So how can you, you don't know. You don't know until you get that quarterback. So it's tough for Nagy and the Chicago fans because you just don't know.
No, I agree completely. It's a situation where it's like, I think you brought in Matt Nagy hoping he was going to be a guy like Doug Pederson, for example. A guy that came in, found his quarterback, worked a couple of drafts and took his team to the next level. And that never really happened.
Yeah.
So if they let go of him for that, especially when there's a guy like Doug Pederson waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
Hard to blame him. I mean, I didn't want to let go of Doug Pederson. I'll be real. It's nothing against Nick. Not this Nick Sirianni. It's nothing against him, but I like Doug Pederson. I thought he was a great coach, and he had some great years with some lean rosters. And if you were able to build that team back up, he would be better. But the Eagles went in a different direction, and our loss could be the Bears' gain, to be real.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the NFL. If some team is doing poorly, they got to find an out, just like the Giants with Garrett, just like the Eagles with, Doug. It's just you got to set an example, even if it's stupid. That's what you got to do, and Doug was obviously the scapegoat.
Yeah, so they seem to make everybody the scapegoat. It was like, oh, it was Doug because Carson doesn't like him. Oh, it was Carson. After Doug's gone, it's like, okay, so why did we get rid of both? But that's last year. We're gonna.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, a guy, what you were looking for in a guy like Matt Nagy, you might be able to find with a guy like Doug Pederson. He, his tenure, he worked with some young quarterbacks that were mobile, and he produced with them. Carson Wentz was a mobile quarterback prior to the knee injury. He's starting to get some of that back.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts was a mobile quarterback. So if you're building with Justin Fields and you want to build something around him, a guy like Doug Pederson might be the right guy to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's not much better out there at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm a little biased, but I'm just saying.
Just a bit. Just a bit.
No, I think that goes for you, Ivan, the 49ers, and of course us as Eagles fans. Like, we may have to win out to have any shot at the playoffs, but there's a lot of teams that are backing out too now. Like Carolina dropped a game to the Washington team, and the Saints have lost 3 of their last 4. Yeah, there are teams backsliding, and that's going to. And then there are other teams like the Niners and the Eagles who have gotten on a little bit of a streak now.
Yeah.
So you may see 1 or 2 teams fall out, 1 or 2 teams jump up. That's what we were talking about last week.
Yeah, I mean, look at us in the East with the Cowboys. Like, we have a chance. What are we? 5-5, 5-6. I don't know.
I think 5-6. We won 3 out of the last 4.
6, yeah, 5-6
to get to 5-6.
Yeah. So
but you may have to end up like 11-6 or 10-7 just to get in the playoffs. Who knows? With the extended season and so many games left, it's still a little bit up in the air. Like we talked about last week, the bottom of that playoff bracket is muddled.
Yeah, and it looks like it's it's showing that the legit teams are now. What? Comment?
I just saw something that said Ivan said something about Vinny Del Negro, former coach of the Raiders. Wasn't he a basketball player?
Yeah.
I think you're thinking of Jack Del Rio, my friend.
There you go. Yep, Jack. And I think he's coaching, right? For the
he is the defensive coordinator for the Washington football team right now.
Yeah. And let's get what we were talking about earlier. It seems like the cream is rising to the top here. We're finally. Yeah,
I got it. Ivan says, there you go. My bad.
There you go.
Yeah, Vinny Del Negro was a nice journeyman for the NBA. He was with the Spurs and a few other teams, did something. I think he might have even coached a little bit. But, Jack Del Rio is a whole other dude.
Yeah.
All right, let's try to skip into our last segment before we start making picks. And today, the semifinalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame was announced.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a long list. I'm not going to go into all of them. Yeah. But there were close to 7 guys, I think 7 exactly, who were first-time Hall of Famers on the ballot that have made it to the semifinals. And I'm going to run down the names, and we're going to decide whether these guys don't make the final cut, whether they're first ballot Hall of Famers, or, something down the line. Oh, and I love the commercial for the league, by the way. Shout out to the League of Extraordinary podcast. That commercial was amazing, bro. Brought Nick and I together. So thank you, Ivan. You are making big things happen. You don't even know.
Yeah. Brought us to tears.
It did. This is beautiful. I can't believe I'm a part of this. Thank you.
That's my feedback.
Damn you, Nicky. Oh, T.O. He will forever be in our hearts for that. But okay, so let's start small. We have a veteran who made it to the semifinals for the first time. You might remember him from the, amazing Bills teams of the 90s that could never quite win a Super Bowl. He was a special teamer, wide receiver. Now I think he's still calling games or working the sidelines for the NFL.
Okay.
And that's Steve Tasker of the Buffalo Bills.
Wow.
Yeah, he was a return guy. He was a receiver.
A little bit of everything. Hybrid.
Did player. A little bit of everything. Yeah. It just went to 4 Super Bowls. Obviously didn't win any.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna let Nick jump in on this first. Do you think he ends up getting in the finals? Is this where he stops? And if he does, do you see him as a first ballot Hall of Fame?
Definitely not first ballot, but getting to Super Bowls, that's impressive. But losing, that's another thing too. I mean, they look at that. They look at every single thing. So he's gonna
Yeah.
be there. He's not gonna make it. He's not gonna be on the first ballot. But I mean, I don't know how much longer he has, right? Don't they have a certain amount of time before they
I don't know
eliminate or
what the
disqualify?
allotted. I don't know what the allotted amount of time is, but you get so
Yeah.
much time, and then if you don't make the Hall of Fame, then you get passed on to like the what do they call it, like the alumni
Yeah.
committee, and you can get voted in there because they always have like one guy
Oh,
from
that's
that
cool.
the alumni bring in.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
there were a lot of guys from those Bills teams in the '90s that made the Hall of Fame. I mean, Jim
Yeah.
Kelly, Thurman Thomas, Andre Reed, Bruce
Yep.
Smith. The
Yep.
list goes on and on and on. I don't know if Steve Tasker is going to be one of those guys. I loved him. He was tiny. He was hard nosed. He did it. He did it all.
Yeah.
He was a huge part in that. I remember watching that huge comeback in the playoffs that the Bills had against the Houston Oilers to date me, where Frank Reich had to come in for Jim Kelly, and they came back from like down 35-0 to winning in overtime.
Yeah.
He had a great career.
Yeah.
Don't know if he's ever going to get into the Hall of Fame this way. He's one of those guys that I could see like later down the road, the Hall of Fame alumni nominate him and he gets in.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll be just a voted in Hall of Famer, like not first ballot, maybe not ever.
Yeah, he's that kind of guy that's going to get on the wall of Hall of Fame, which he's on now for the Buffalo Bills. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like when you look at the Phillies. Like we had a really good 08 team, but Chooch is not a Hall of Famer, but he's a Hall of Famer in our eyes.
Yeah, like we love him and he was a great player, but he's not exactly a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's Steve Tasker, in my opinion, at least. Now, the next one, I'll be honest, I didn't know this was his first time making it this far on the ballot. I didn't know this was his first time on the ballot, and it is, and that is Pittsburgh Steelers legend Hines Ward.
Wow.
I mean, here's a man who had every reception you could think of, won a couple of Super Bowls, was kind of that Swiss Army knife guy for the Steelers. You could use him in the run game. He could throw passes. He's definitely a receiver. He blocked. He did everything.
Yeah.
So Nick, is Hines Ward going to make it onto the ballot? And if so, is he a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Yes and yes, I really do think so. I'm looking at his stats now. 2-time Super Bowl champion, 1-time MVP of a Super Bowl. That's just a big deal in itself. 4-time Pro Bowler, Pittsburgh all-time, the all-time team. Obviously, he's a Hall of Honor. That's their Hall of Fame. 10,000 receiving yards club. I mean, this guy's a legit, one of the best. So I absolutely think so.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you, hands down. Like he was a great player. He was hard nosed, and even when there were guys like the Bus or Big Ben or whoever on that team, he was clearly the leader of that team. Like not just the offense, that franchise. And for a team like the Steelers that has so many championships and so much mystique and all that, for Hines Ward to be one of those guys, almost makes him a shoo-in. So I'm going to agree completely. Hines Ward needs to be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
This next guy, I'm not real sure of. I absolutely love him.
Yeah.
He has all the numbers. He was a great talent. I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer. So I'm going to leave it up to Nick. Indianapolis Colts wide receiver Reggie Wayne.
Reggie Wayne. All right. I mean,
this is not easy.
It's not. And I think he's been on there for a while, right?
This is the first time.
Oh, it is. Okay. Again, Super Bowl champion, 6-time Pro Bowler. Like he has all the stats. It's just, was it a collective effort, with Peyton Manning and that really, really good defense? It's just, it's tough for me, in my opinion. I don't think so. I think he was just one of those really good players, but the stats, I mean, you need a little more. You need a little more.
Yeah. I think, I don't know if he'll make it to the finals this year.
Yeah.
I think he'll be a Hall of Famer, but it's hard to say first ballot. And the reason I say that is because he played 90% of his career as second receiver behind Marvin Harrison. and Marvin Harrison was breaking records while Reggie Wayne was on the other side. So clearly they were flipping coverage to try and stop Marvin Harrison, which made him much more productive. I mean, he did become a number one at the end, towards the end of his run in Indianapolis, and he did well.
Yeah.
But this guy, honestly, it's like, we were talking about the Cowboys. Like he steps up from, but it's kind of like he was to Marvin Harrison what Alvin Harper was to Michael Irvin.
Wow, there you go. That was a good one.
I try. I don't just do this for the fun of it. I try. Yeah. There's maximum effort in everything I do. So I would say he'll be a Hall of Famer, but I don't think it'll be this year.
No, I agree.
And if you guys agree or disagree, please feel free to drop them in the comments, man. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. What do we got?
Let's see. Next up on the ballot is, definitely a one-of-a-kind talent, but mainly because outside of his specialty, you really didn't know what he played. And I'm going to call it's kick returner Devin Hester. Like,
Devin Hester.
He came in as a corner. He became a wide receiver. He was used a little bit at running back, but he never really made an impact offensively or defensively. But as far as return specialists,
yes,
he's probably top 3 all time.
Yeah.
Does that give you a pass into the Hall of Fame, or is that not enough?
Not first ballot. He won't make it this year, but I really do think he will, just because it's such a special position. I mean, yes, he was more of a hybrid player. He could do a little bit of everything, but his specialty was special teams. And he did, he has to be top 5,
Yeah.
And if you're top 5, you should be in the Hall of Fame, just not first ballot,
Yeah.
In this position.
We as the Eagles franchise had a guy in Brian Mitchell who was a lot like Devin Hester. Maybe Devin Hester was better. But Brian Mitchell, he was a running back. He caught a few passes here and there. But if you got a kick or a punt in his hands, you were worried.
Yeah.
And Devin Hester, you were not just worried, you were paranoid. He's one of the few guys that I've seen, he was one of the first guys I've seen, kickers actually try to kick away from, or pooch kick, or, coffin corner punts, that kind of stuff, even if they were backed up in their own territory, because they'd rather give it back to you at the 50 than let Devin Hester take it in.
Yeah. Yep. I was just going to say that too.
I do think he's a Hall of Famer. I don't think he's a first ballot guy.
No.
I don't know. I don't know. It's tough because when you think about it, you think about some of the guys in his sort of group. You think Brian Mitchell. You think Dante Hall, for instance. They called him the human joystick, and still punted and kicked to him. But Devin Hester was completely different.
Yeah. And
so maybe that's enough, but I'm gonna lean towards not yet.
Yeah, I agree.
Not first ballot. Maybe not. And this next guy is one of my favorites. Guy who played many, many years for the Carolina Panthers, the Baltimore Ravens. Now he's an NFL Network analyst, the one and only Steve Smith.
Steve Smith.
The man who gave us the wonderful soundbite during the game where he's just screaming, "Ice up, son!"
Yeah. This is another tough one. Because he was really good, but he wasn't great. He was
very good.
Yeah.
He was very good.
Yeah, but he wasn't great. He wasn't amazing. He was just a great a great wide receiver. I don't know. It's tough. Again, you look at the stats, it's just it's just there's nothing that really pops out. Obviously, 5-time Pro Bowl, that's impressive. NFL receiving yards leader in 2005. NFL receiving touchdowns co-leader in 2005. He's in the Carolina Panthers Hall of Fame. So it's tough. Not first ballot, not this year.
Okay. Yeah, Steve Smith is one of those guys that when he came into the league, people thought he was going to be in that group with Dante Hall, Devin Hester, Brian Mitchell, one of these fancy return guys that could kill you if he got his hands on the ball. He then worked his way up to being a top-tier receiver, and he certainly wasn't the prototypical guy, not even by a long shot. I mean, he was 5'9", barely 200 pounds. and over the course of a career, he managed to amass over 1,000 catches, almost 15,000 yards, 80 touchdowns, and this was after spending a few seasons as basically a return guy.
Yeah.
I think if it were up to me, I would make him a first ballot Hall of Famer, because whether he had put the work in or they had just used him as a receiver at the beginning of his career, if he did all that, imagine what he'd do if he was, a receiver a primary receiver, basically, the first couple seasons of his career.
Yeah.
Where would he be then? Because he's already, at least in the top 10 in every receiving category there is. And the guys around him are practically all Hall of Famers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and he proved he could be a number one. Because I know when he first came in and he started to blow up, they had, oh God, I can't remember his name now, but it was Muhammad, big receiver for Carolina with Jake Delhomme and all that. And he eventually went to Chicago. Steve Smith was the focal point, and from there, he took off. Just dominated the league at 5'9".
Yeah,
everybody talks about Tyreek Hill now. There would not be Tyreek Hill without Steve Smith.
Yeah,
so I'd probably have to put him in there. I'd say first ballot. Let's see. So we've covered everybody else. The last guy was a member of the Greatest Show on Turf. And he put up some tremendous numbers too.
Yeah.
The one and only playmaker, Torrey Holt.
Torrey Holt. Wow.
Yeah.
I would, for some reason, believe he was already a Hall of Famer, but let's hear.
No, not yet. Everybody else from that team is. I mean, Isaac Bruce is a Hall of Famer. Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk. The list goes on and on. Torrey Holt is one of the last names on this list from the Greatest Show on Turf. Yeah. I think after this, they're going to be asking about Ricky Prohl,
or the referees.
Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is an easy one for me. I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, not just because of that game, but again, let's go back to the stats. They're legitimate. I don't know. It's tough because you want to see it. I don't know if it's going to be first ballot, but you just named, a lot of players that were on that team, so it could happen. I mean, what do you think?
It's hard to argue,
against. Yep.
It's hard to argue against. He was such a force to be reckoned with. Even after Isaac Bruce left, even after Kurt Warner moved on, he was still a force to be reckoned with. It also says a lot about Steve Smith because he has more receptions, yards, and touchdowns than Torrey Holt. So I'm going to go back to that real quick.
Yeah.
But just from remembering his career, looking at his numbers, obviously won a Super Bowl.
Yeah. And I think that's a big thing too.
Yeah, they make it a big thing with the NFL, with the NFL Hall of Fame. Like, championships account, Yeah. Because that's one thing. I don't think Steve Smith, he's been to Super Bowls, but I don't know if he ever won one.
No.
I don't think he was with the Ravens the year that they won. That was Anquan Bolden.
Yep.
So, I'd say first ballot Hall of Famer too.
Yeah.
He's definitely that talented, and you couldn't, if he got in, you couldn't argue. If they said no,
exactly,
you might be able to grumble, but you could see that too.
Yeah.
But gun to my head, I'm saying first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yep. I concur.
So it's going to be interesting. I know like Andre Johnson is out there, and I don't know if he's a first time guy. I really don't. I mean, he was a great receiver for the Texans, but he had a handful of great years and then just kind of stuck around with some teams. And
shit ton of injuries. Yeah.
Absolute shit ton. Definitely slowed him down. I mean, I don't know. You'd almost want to put him in that category with Megatron, although I think Calvin Johnson was better.
Yeah.
Where he was he came in a flash and he made all these plays and he was big and fast, and then he just kind of got nicked up and slowed down and eventually left. So that one's going to be interesting. I probably lean towards no on first ballot, but if you were going to put him in, I can't argue.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Okay. Well, I guess we should move on and see how many of these games we actually agree on this
Yeah,
week. Because we had a lot of differing picks last week, and that doesn't
yeah,
happen much. But
no,
in the end, I got lucky. I edged Nick out 14-13. So now I have a 74 to what was it 68 lead in our picks for the season.
74-68. Okay,
So
gonna have to
it's
write
getting
this down.
closer. It's getting closer. And of course, as we head towards Thanksgiving, we've got 3 games tomorrow. Not all of them are very good, but we've got some traditional Thanksgiving games that you can sit around and stuff your face and pass
Yeah,
out to. The first, of course, we're kicking off the entire the entire day and the entire Thanksgiving throwdown
with an
with
amazing game.
yeah, it's 2 teams that are there.
Yeah, yeah,
we've got the Chicago Bears going to Detroit to play the winless Lions
yeah,
at 12:30. Um,
yeah. I think
they're
this. Go ahead,
they've
my
already
bad.
said, from what I've been able to gather, they've already said Andy Dalton is most likely going to start this game for the Bears. They're saying there's a chance Jared Goff could be back for the Lions. They're not sure.
Yeah.
So I will leave this one up to Nick. Who do you see pulling this game off? Because I want to say somebody's got to win, but then the Lions prove that's not always true.
Yeah. I think this is going to be the last straw for Nagy if he does not win this game. It's on Thanksgiving. There's a lot of viewers. This is a big time game for Chicago and the NFL. I know I said it matters about the quarterback, but this is such a big game. It's the first game of 2021, for Thanksgiving. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. So I got the Bears here. I think they're playing for too much.
Yeah, you gotta think the Bears will pull this one out.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless of whether they're fighting for Nagy's job or not, according
Yeah.
to reports. I mean, this game might not even matter. It's just get us through this one.
Yeah,
We'll
good
get rid
point.
of you. We'll have a nice gap to
Yeah,
get the interim coach and the players ready. So
yeah,
yeah, I'm leaning towards the Bears too, Dalton or not. Devin has chimed in saying he's going to take the Bears as well, 21-17.
there you go.
Yeah, I was close to that myself. I'm going to say Bears 20, Lions 14.
Yeah, I got 19-13.
Okay,
Yeah,
19-13. But we're both taking the Bears. All right, then
Bears.
the Bears. The next game on the rundown is the Las Vegas Raiders, and their roller coaster is going to pull into Dallas as they'll be
Yeah,
taking on the 7-4 Cowboys. I'll be honest with you guys. I've been saying it for a couple of weeks now. The Raiders they look like they finally had enough this season.
yeah,
Between the Gruden distractions, then Henry Ruggs, Arnett on top of it with his video with the gun threatening people, guys going left and right. It just seems like they've suffered too much to be able to recover this season. I mean, I'm not saying they won't win another game, but
yeah,
I think playoffs are out. I think if they're lucky, they're going to be 9-8, and it's hard to see them. The way they've been playing on both sides of the ball, walking into Dallas
yeah,
and pulling out a victory. So, begrudgingly, I'm going to take the Cowboys, and
yeah. Yep. Let's hear that score.
I figured as much. I'm going to say Dallas wins 27-10.
Yeah. And it just, I was watching the game with my buddy who's a big Raiders fan, and it just seems like it's all, they lose the game themselves, They fumble, they throw interceptions.
Oh, yeah.
They're not a good team. And even with all the injuries that the Cowboys are dealing with, I still think the Cowboys are a better team. So I'm going to go 22 to 17.
Oh, I feel like I should be keeping Devin's scores here because he keeps jumping in. He says, "Give me Dallas 34-14." Wow. Okay. Okay.
Wow, I've been with Dalton. Okay, I see you.
And 30. All right, fuck it. I'm gonna write them down. I don't care. But yeah, and then we're gonna wrap up Thanksgiving Day with a Thursday night
Yeah, should be a good one.
clash of two teams that were good but have been struggling recently. I mean, the Bills, who have lost 2 out of their last 3, are going into New Orleans to play the Saints, who have lost 3 of their last 4.
Yeah.
So I guess somebody's got to win this one, unless we end up with another tie.
Yeah, could happen.
But I mean, the Saints are slowly falling out of playoff contention. The Bills fell from the number 2 seed all the way. They're not number 2. They're not even leading their division right now.
Yeah.
After these last few losses, and it's going to be interesting to see. But I'll say the Bills bounce back because they're just more talented than the Saints overall.
Yeah, I agree. I just think Josh Allen needs to, another big moment. I think this is it for Josh Allen. I think this is where they start to climb back to the, into the standings and into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean the Saints are interesting because they're starting Trevor Siemian, but then they gave this weird hybrid contract to Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
Where it was like, oh, well, if you're our starting quarterback, the contract could be up to $95 million. If you're the Swiss Army guy that you've been, whether you're playing running back, wide receiver, quarterback, gunner, it could be worth up to $40 million, and we'll guarantee like 20 of it.
Weird.
So I don't know if that means they're going to start Taysom Hill and see how it goes. I haven't seen anything on reports. As far as I know, it'll be Trevor Siemian, and he hasn't been terrible, but he also hasn't started a game and won.
Yeah.
Like the last game they won, he played in, but Jameis Winston was your starter. And then they've lost 3 straight with Trevor Siemian at quarterback.
Yeah.
So
what do you got?
I'm going to say Buffalo wins this one 28-14.
Damn you. I got 24-17.
24-17. Okay. And Devin's going upset special. He says, I'll take the Saints. Wow.
Devin, get back to work.
Get back to work. Well, I mean, if Alvin Kamara plays, which we still don't know.
Yeah.
Saints have a decent defense, maybe, but man, I don't know. That's a bold pick right there, Devin. I'll give you that much.
Yeah.
All right, so let's skip right ahead to the Sunday action, and a team that we ended up breaking down a lot more than I thought we would last week. The Pittsburgh Steelers coming off a shootout loss of what might have been the game of the week against the Chargers. I'm not going to lie. Now they have to go into Cincinnati to take on the Bengals, who bounced back with a big win against the Raiders.
Yeah.
Nick, who do you see picking up the W in this division game?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough because they always play so well together. They always play a competitive football game, even if the Steelers are, really not a good team, or vice versa if Cincinnati's not having a good year. So regardless of that, I think I'm going to stick with the Steelers. As much as I don't know if they can get the job done, it might be a really close game, but I got to go with the Steelers.
Okay. I had said last week when we were talking about the playoff picture that if the Bengals could find a way to cut down these Joe Burrow turnovers they've had, they could be a dangerous team.
Yeah.
They did that last week, and they got a huge win.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh's defense, I mean, they're not just missing guys like TJ Watt. They're missing, Minkah Fitzpatrick. They're missing Joe Hayden. They're down to 3rd and 4th string corners. They're kind of like where the Eagles' defense was at last year.
And even if you look at the offense, too, with the wide receivers, that doesn't help.
Yeah, I mean, they're starting to get a little healthier on offense. Ben came back, Chase Claypool was back last week. They did look better. But even at that, if their defense is that thin, and again, Cincinnati can keep these Joe Burrow turnovers down.
Well, that's the key, yeah.
And run the ball with Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
Which they were able to do in spades last week. I was happy. That's my guy. That's my fantasy stud this year. He's been killing it. And if they're able to do that, and I think they will, I think the Bengals are going to win this one. I'm going to take Cincinnati at home.
Yeah, I really wanted to pick the Bengals, but they played a mediocre Raiders team. And like I said earlier, they play competitive football regardless of the record when it's the Steelers or the Bengals, or if it's home field advantage, vice versa. If they're playing in Hines or they're playing in Cincy, it always seems like a
I'm sure this
game.
is going to be another like emotional, hard fought division game because these two teams have had some wars over the years. But I feel like the Bengals might pull it out by a touchdown. Even Devin is saying he'll take the Bengals 27-21. Okay. Okay.
All right. My man.
So we got it's going to be it should be an interesting game. It typically is. Like those NFC North games are brutal sometimes. Like I don't care if it's Steelers Bengals, Steelers Ravens, that kind of they go to war. They really do.
Yeah.
Now, this next game is definitely interesting because you got the Bucs who just bounced back against a not so good Giants team.
Yeah.
And they're heading into Indianapolis to take on the Colts, who have been one of the hottest teams in football the last few weeks.
Yeah.
I think they've won 3 or 4 in a row, like, maybe 4 out of their last 5 overall. Jonathan Taylor is amazing.
Yeah.
Even Carson Wentz is starting to look better. I can't deny him. The guys played well. Their defense has stepped up. But is that enough to end up defending your home field against Tom Brady?
Yeah. Yeah. Steve Young last night on the ESPN pre-show said the Panthers don't need Superman. They need Cam Newton. And I think that was so perfectly said because I think he just tries a little too hard. And yes, his first game back, he had 2 touchdowns. But if you go back and watch the game, anyone could have had those 2 touchdowns. I'm not saying, XFL players could do that. I'm saying an NFL quarterback, pretty much anyone could do that. But I'm getting off the beaten path here.
Well, we could have found out if they put in PJ Walker. He was the XFL MVP. So, they could have proved your theory.
Yeah. It's going to be a competitive game. I really, I think the Dolphins have it here.
Oh, I think you jumped ahead in the game. I was talking about Colts Bucks, man.
Holy shit, my bad.
But that's okay. You said Dolphins. I'll mark that down.
Colts Bucks. Okay, back to
the joys of going live. No editing, no rewind. Choo. Okay, Colts Bucks. What do you got?
Yeah, that was a really good segue too. I'll say the whole Steve Young thing again. Don't worry. Colts Bucks. Bucks look good again. They played a mediocre team like the Giants. The Colts have been looking really, really good, and I'm really excited to see that new Hard Knocks show they're going to do during the season.
Me too.
They're going to tape during the season, and I think this is the best time because it just looks like I said earlier, the cream of the crop is rising here, and I think the Colts are one of those teams. Man, this is going to be a good freaking game. You know what? I'm going to do it. I got the Colts.
Yeah, I know Brady looked better, but he's been turning the ball over more lately. Tampa commits a ton of penalties. I think they're second in the league behind Philadelphia, to be real.
And their defense is dirty too. It kind of reminds me of the Strahan era with the Giants. They would do whatever it took. They bite, slap, punch, kick. They're dirty.
But the entire season too, even part of that Eagles game showed you that Tampa gives up a lot of yards on the ground. They just normally don't give up a lot of yards on the ground because they're up.
Yeah.
Indianapolis is going to come out and give you a dose of Jonathan Taylor from the very beginning, and they're going to stick with it. Obviously, the man had 5 touchdowns and 200 some odd scrimmage yards in the last game against the Bills. And I think they're going to continue to ride with Jonathan Taylor, and that's not going to bode well for Tampa's defense. And
even if they are a decent defense.
I'm going to say Colts in a close game, let's say 31-28.
Okay, I got 27-24, the Colts.
27-24, okay.
I don't know what I was looking at.
Even Devin saying Colts in a close one, 28-27. Man, I thought I was going to be, one of the guys sitting here upset special, and everybody agrees with me. Holy shit.
Yeah. Just looks like the Colts are finally, committing to
clicking,
the run. Yeah, they're clicking. Taylor
and they're
looks
gonna.
great. Yep, go ahead.
I want to knock on wood when I say it, but they got T.Y. Hilton back again last week, and hopefully he'll get a week's worth of practice and he'll be healthy, and that's just going to add another weapon to that offense that Michael Pittman has played very well in.
Yeah,
their tight ends have played well in, and then put T.Y. Hilton on top of Jonathan Taylor in that offense, and it might be enough for the Colts to take it. And again. I know Nick had picked Miami because he jumped a game on me, and which is fine. It happens. It happens to the best of us.
Yep, we're
and
live.
He was saying, and of course he brought up the whole Steve Young thing where he was saying they don't need Superman, they need Cam Newton. I think honestly, whether it's Cam Newton or whether it's Superman, I see the Dolphins taking this one too.
Damn you.
I know.
I'm 6 points behind.
All right, fuck it. I'll take. I'll go to the other side because this one I was just about to say I could see this game going either way, and Carolina does have a pretty damn good defense. Even in that last game against Washington, they played pretty stout. They had some, gave up a few too many touchdown passes. They made Taylor Heineke look pretty good, but. Yeah. I think they're going to have ways to slow down Tua. Miami doesn't run the ball very well, so I'll go to the other side. Fine, I'll do it on this one. I'll go Carolina in a close game, and so the next game is practically the top two seeds in the AFC. Oh, and Devin says Panthers as well. 24-21. I got you, homie. Sorry. So the next game is. Basically, now the top two seeds in the AFC. You got the Tennessee Titans headed to Foxborough to take on the Patriots, who have won, 5 straight now?
Yeah.
And Tennessee's, of course, coming off that horrible-looking loss where Tannehill threw 4 interceptions against the Texans.
Yeah.
By the way, shout out to Tyrod Taylor. I know he didn't have the greatest game through the air, but some of those runs he pulled off, including that Superman touchdown, like fuck Cam Newton. You went to the skies for that first touchdown.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that, go back and watch the highlight. It was a thing of beauty. But to play that poorly against what is basically the worst team in the AFC, now you got to go to Foxborough.
Yeah.
Don't think that bodes well for Tennessee. I know they're the top seed.
Yeah,
I know they're trying to work things out. They might have A.J. Brown back for this game, which would help, but is it enough?
Yeah, that's a good question too, and you got to look at every single factor when it comes to these two teams because you got Belichick and you got Mike Vrabel, so they know each other pretty well. Again, they played pretty competitive games when they're up against each other. Is it enough? Do the Titans have enough to run, to pass, to defend with special teams? If you put that all together, I don't see it. I think the Patriots are on a really hot streak, obviously winning those 5 games. It's really impressive to see. I think they're clicking, kind of like the Colts. So I just don't see. It's tough because you brought up all the factors when it comes to the Titans. They are headed. They're doing well in their division. They haven't been. When they do lose, it's really close games or a couple points, like 5, 7 to 10. But still,
and honestly, if they lose this one, both teams I believe would be 8-4, and that would give New England the tiebreaker. Correct. So you would have the Patriots basically as your number 1 seed in the AFC.
Yeah. Who do you got? Might have to change my picks here.
Man, it's tough. I'm even before this, before we came on, I was breaking it down in my head, and I'm thinking like, okay, both teams, their defenses are playing well. New England's might be a little better.
Yeah.
Both teams have quarterbacks that are hit and miss.
Yeah.
But then with the Patriots, their running game has been unbelievable, regardless of who plays. Like Harris was doing well, he got hurt. Ramondre Stevenson came in, he played well. Now you got both of them back, and the two of them combined for like 120 yards in the last game. And they had a long, and I don't want to say they had a long layoff because they were on, but they did because they were on Thursday Night Football. Now they're coming back Sunday. So it just gives them a chance to get healthier while The Titans, on the other hand, like A.J. Brown left that game, and now they're coming in now they're coming in this week. They don't know if he'll play.
Yep.
They've got, they're trying to straighten out who's going to be running the ball for him. We know it won't be Adrian Peterson, but what does that leave?
Yeah, a lot of questions, man. That's why it makes it such.
So it seems like, putting all that together, it seems like the Titans have more questions than the Patriots right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
it seems that way.
Come on, 5-game winning streak. I mean,
so
there's a lot of good questions,
And while it looks like Mac Jones has been playing better as the season goes along, it feels like Ryan Tannehill hasn't.
No.
So I gotta go with the Patriots in this one. Yeah. I just, there's too many questions on Tennessee's side, especially with the number 1 seed in the AFC on the line.
Yeah, and I think the biggest question is, can Ryan Tannehill bounce back against a tough defense? And Dom, don't pick any numbers because I'm going with the Titans.
Wow. Okay. So you think Tannehill's going to bounce back this week? I didn't think he was going to have that bad of a game against the Texans, to be honest.
Yeah.
And Devin's in on the Patriots as well, saying 27-17. Cool. Yeah, I feel like the Patriots have figured out a lot of things while the Tennessee Titans, as their season goes on, they're having more and more questions to answer. Like, what are we going to do about Derrick Henry? Oh, what are we going to do without Julio Jones? Now it's what are we going to do without Derrick, Julio, and maybe A.J. Brown? There's
a lot of questions.
They're asking a lot of Ryan Tannehill, and I don't know if he's that guy. I really don't. So the next game is probably going to be near and dear to our hearts. It's an NFC East division rival. It's our Philadelphia Eagles going into the Meadowlands to take on the struggling New York Giants, who just fired Jason Garrett.
Yeah.
The Giants have kind of limped along, literally, like injuries, lost a couple of games straight. The Eagles have won three of the last 4.
Yep.
Including a pretty impressive victory over the Saints. I mean, they gave us some points at the end of that game, but they were so far ahead it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And Miles Sanders is obviously back. I know he had a couple of little issues keeping the ball in his hand, but now the sad part is now Jordan Howard might be out.
Yeah.
It's like, damn it, I want both of these guys.
Yeah, all 3 of them. Even
all 3 of them, really. Get Scott in there. I don't care. Throw Gainwell in there for a few pass plays. Use them all. They all serve a purpose.
Yeah.
It's a tough game to pick, but I'm going to go with Nicky first. Do you think? Are you going with our hometown team, or do you think the Giants find some way to bounce back in this game with a new offensive coordinator?
Yeah, and I think you brought it up too. It's all about the running game for the Eagles, and it's all about the Giants' run defense. I mean, they have a pretty good defensive line. Cornerbacks, they are really good with that. They look like a complete team when it comes to the defense. It's just the coaching and rookies and staying healthy. I mean, just a lot of other factors that you don't know how good this team is just because of all those factors. But long story short, I got the Birds here.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles have definitely finally started to run the ball, which we were begging for like at least 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It's worked for them. They've gotten hot. Their defense is playing better. Yeah. Darius Slay actually looks like the guy we traded for and paid.
Yep.
So that's a plus. And the Giants are just, I think they need to start asking the question, like, is this the team that we can take forward? Like, is Daniel Jones the answer? Can we get Saquon Barkley back healthy? Can we build upon the defense that we have? Is this coaching staff even worth keeping around? Because we had talked about that as well. And with Garrett already gone and Joe Judge, I think now he's like 9. Joe Judge is like 9-17 since joining the Giants.
He sucks.
And he does kind of suck. And the Eagles have been hot. I'm going to take the Eagles in this game. I know it's a division rivalry game. Yeah, I know. Big shock, right? I'm taking the Eagles while wearing an Eagles jersey. I'm gonna say Eagles win. Shit. 27-13.
Damn you again.
Again.
I got 27, but I don't see the Giants scoring, and if they do, it's one touchdown here. So I got 27-9.
9. Okay, I thought you were
Yeah.
about to throw the goose egg up. Wow.
No.
And yeah, Devin's right there with us. He says Eagles 30-17. Yeah.
Damn,
Yeah.
you guys
I
are
could
giving the
definitely.
Giants a lot.
With these long-standing division rivalries, teams tend to play up.
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah,
get hyped up for these games. They play
absolutely.
better. So I can see the Giants putting up a couple of scores and maybe having that talk of like, well, maybe it was Jason Garrett, this sort of thing. But
Yeah.
I don't see him coming that close. And man, this next game, it's
Let's
ugly.
hear it.
It's ugly. You
A
have
couple ugly games this week.
a struggling Falcons team that got
this game
shut out by the Patriots, going to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. Ugh.
Snooze fest.
You know what?
Fest.
I'm gonna say something I think I may have never thought I was gonna say. I smell an upset brewing here. The Falcons have been struggling. They don't have a wide receiver you can name. Cordero Patterson has been hurt, and he was kind of that linchpin in the offense.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the Jaguars are somehow going to beat the Falcons.
I'm
not totally I'm not totally settled on it. It's maybe 60-40, but I just have this feeling that the Jacksonville Jags will win this damn game because the Falcons have been struggling across the board.
And it's home too.
And it's home. The Falcons have been struggling offensively, defensively. They've just been a mess.
A-dub.
And let's be honest. In the last 2 weeks, you know how many points that the Falcons have actually put on the board?
3.
3.
Holy shit! How did
They've been outscored 68-3 in the last 2 weeks. Now, I'm not saying that the Jaguars are the Cowboys, and I'm not saying that they're the Patriots.
Yeah.
But I'm saying they'll score more than 3 points.
Looks like you're building a case here. Come on.
Oh, even Devin's saying he's going with the Jags. 19-17. Yeah, wow.
Come on, this is where I get a little closer.
Go for it, man.
Yeah, I got the Falcons. I don't know what you're seeing here. The Jaguars are just an awful team. They have absolutely no chance in hell. I think Matty Ice steps up here, so I got the Atlanta ATL. See, that's the thing. Falcons.
We talked about a lot of veteran quarterbacks last year, whether they should stick around. And
he shouldn't have.
Is Matt Ryan one of those guys that like the Falcons think they can still build around, or is it time for him to move on, or is it just time for him to let go and retire?
Yeah, he's kind of like a Rodgers. He's kind of like a Tom Brady. Not as great as them, but I'm saying he's not at that age where you can build a team around. I think he can go to a playoff contender team, and I think he can do pretty well. But you don't build your team around somebody that, he's not old. Okay. In NFL years, he's old, yes.
Yeah, I mean, there are honestly some weeks where I wonder if Matt Ryan is any better than Joe Flacco, and Flacco's a backup. He had a better week in his first start with the Jets than Matt Ryan has probably had all fucking season.
Yeah,
and
there is,
I wouldn't put Matt Ryan up there with like the Bradys of the world, or whatever, because like
not.
He'll when you can in his prime with weapons around him, he was very good.
Yeah. I think that's
since Julio Jones started to slide off, since that team, and now he's starting to show his age. And I don't know if it was just like, if you put him, like, let's just say for whatever reason, Titans get rid of Ryan Tannehill and they bring in Matt Ryan next year, reunite him with Julio Jones, put him with AJ Brown, get back Derrick Henry. Are they going to be a better team than they are this year?
No.
Probably not.
No. I'm saying like a legit contender. I think obviously he could do well, but with the Titans, they're struggling too. It's
I mean, maybe
injuries.
or let's say like everybody's been talking about Aaron Rodgers wanting to leave Green Bay.
Yeah.
Let's say he does, and somehow, some way, the Packers bring in Matt Ryan. Are they going to be as good next year as they are this year?
No. Again, I think
Not even close, to be honest.
I think Rodgers is that team.
So I'm almost wondering if it's time to put Matty Ice on ice. Just saying. Just saying.
Oh, kill him.
And another stinker game that's gonna maybe put my that's gonna maybe put my afternoon on ice because I'm gonna be bored to tears.
Thank God this isn't on Thanksgiving.
The New York Jets, who should be getting Zach Wilson back this week and starting, especially since two of their quarterbacks have been put on the COVID list. The New York Jets are going to be going into Houston to take on a Texans team that pulled, again, one of the big, I know I say it every week, but one of the biggest upsets of the NFL season last week. The lowest seed in the AFC beat the top seed in the AFC. Do the Jets have, and even though the Jets might have a similar, I think they have these two teams might have the same records, and they might be swapping draft picks, but do the Jets have enough to go on the road and take out a Titans or a Texans team that just dropped the Titans?
I think this is where Tyrod Taylor's starting to heat up. He had 2 touchdowns against the Titans. He looked really good, man. He looked like Tyrod Taylor from a few years ago, whatever team he was on at that time.
Oh, the Bills. Bills. Yeah.
Bills, Browns. I mean, he's been on a lot of teams. No, I think Houston has this year.
Yeah, go ahead and give me a score because I'm going to take them too, and then I'll give you why.
Okay. Let me see. I'm going to go with 16-13. Houston.
16-13. Okay.
Yep, these wacky scores.
I mean, I agree. Like, I know Tyrod Taylor's first week back, he didn't look very good.
No.
He definitely had to shake some rust off. He looked a little bit better against the Titans, who have a very tough defense. He definitely got going on the ground.
Yep.
And didn't have a horrible day through the air. The Jets defense that I brought this up last week, is just pathetic.
Yeah, it's bad.
Like they're terrible.
Yeah.
They did play a little bit better against Miami, but they're still pretty bad. And
that's terrible.
I see, like, if you have one of these quarterbacks that's on a bye and you're looking to replace him, take Tyrod Taylor. Thank me later. Because he might have one of the best games of any quarterback in the league this week against a very bad Jet defense. So I'm going to take the Texans as well. I'm going to say they win 24-10. And Tyrod Taylor has a monster game. and Devin's saying he's going to go with the Jets since they have a slightly better run game than the Texans. Now, keep in mind, Devin, Michael Carter will not play in this game. He got injured against Miami, so he's out.
Yep.
So they're either going with Tevin Coleman or I can't remember the other guy's name, but he was Johnson. He was rookie last year. Johnson. So that might change your tune. I don't know. But we're gonna skip from that to another division game, this time in the AFC West. The Chargers, off that big win Sunday night, go into Mile High to play the 5-5 Broncos, and I won't say both teams are clinging to to a playoff spot because the Chargers, they're still in the running for the division with Kansas City and beat them.
Yeah.
So they're still kind of entrenched where Denver has fallen off. So, Nick, do you think that Denver has enough to slow down Josh Herbert and the Chargers offense, or do you think the Chargers roll in here and get a big victory on the road and try to maintain with Kansas City?
Yeah. These two teams are so hard to just, I don't know. It's just 1 week they're really good, 1 week they look really bad. Consistently, if it's going to be any team, I really think the Chargers have it here. I know they're at the Broncos, and I know Herbert had a pretty good game last week. I don't see any chance that the Broncos win here. I think, to answer your question, no, they do not have enough to slow down Justin Herbert.
Okay. Okay. And I guess I changed Devin's mind because he said I'm going with. Never mind. I got the Texans then, 34 to 14.
There you go, Devin.
What a difference one guy makes, especially in a game like that. Now for this game, I think I said it before, and I'll say it again. Yeah, the Chargers give up a lot of yards on the ground. The Broncos have two running backs who can put it up.
Yeah.
But the bigger problem for the Chargers is when Justin Herbert just starts getting laser focused on Keenan Allen. When he gets every target, every pass headed his way, or something similar, they end up losing most of those games. Last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers, he spread the ball around. He got Mike Williams involved. He got his tight ends involved. He got Austin Eckler involved for sure, because if it weren't for Jonathan Taylor, we'd probably be talking about his 4-touchdown game. So,
yeah.
And they did get back to the ground attack a little bit more, which has been lacking the past few weeks. I think they figured it out. They found the formula. The Chargers have worked a lot of issues out. Like they almost gave up a close game. They came back and won. That's something the Chargers do not do.
Yeah.
And so I think they are going to get on track at the end of the season here and make it a 2-horse race between themselves and the Chiefs for that division. I'm going to say Chargers pull this one out on the road. Let's say 28-20.
Okay.
Oh, and even Devin's in on the Chargers. He says 27-19. We were close, homie. We were close. I didn't see that until I wrote down my score. Now, from one LA team on the road to another LA team on the road, the Rams, who have now dropped 2 straight, dropped out of the top 3 in the NFC overall.
Yeah.
They have been reeling against some teams that are, they're good. Tennessee is a good team. San Francisco has gotten hot. Now they need to go into Lambeau and take out the 2-seed Green Bay Packers. I got to be honest. I think the Rams lose 3 straight here. I mean, it's Lambeau. It's cold. It's outdoors. They've been struggling.
Yeah.
Green Bay's defense has played a whole lot better the last few games. I don't think the Rams have enough. I'm going to take the Packers in this one. And I don't know if Nick had, but I'm just going to
say.
No score needed? Okay.
Yeah.
You got the Rams in this?
Yeah, absolutely. I just think they need to bounce back, and I think this is a big win. They say it all the time. It's about home field advantage, and I know it's Lambeau Field, but I don't see it here. I got the Rams.
Okay, so Nick is taking the Rams. I got you. And then let's see. So then we come to 2 teams who are trying to fight their way back into the playoff hunt. The Minnesota Vikings, coming off their home win against the Packers, going into San Francisco to take on the 49ers, who have gotten hot lately too.
Yeah.
This is going to be a tough game to call. I'm going to let Nikki go first. Do you think the 49ers are able to hold them off at home, or have the Vikings finally kind of, taken that next step after beating the Packers? And Ravens, let's be real.
Yeah, that's true. 5-5 teams playing each other, so it's going to be a really competitive game. But Ivan is, I think he's on to something. I think the Niners are finally starting to realize that, they are a good team, and I do think they beat the Vikings here.
Okay, you know what? Give us a score, because I'm going to go that way too, and I'll tell you why after.
Yeah. Give me the Niners winning 27-14.
Okay. Yeah, like I have been much more impressed with the Vikings the past few weeks. I mean, they knocked off a Ravens team that is at top of the AFC. Then they turn around and they knock off the Packers, both at home. Packers were, hot going into that game and clawed their way back and came up short. It was even impressive that the Vikings won a close game, because I don't think that's happened all year.
Yeah, good point.
But now they're expected to travel to the West Coast. They're expected to beat a 49er team that's getting healthy, that's getting hot, and has been playing out of their minds the last couple of weeks, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to have to say that this will be a close game, but the Niners are going to pull it out, just home field advantage and
yeah, it's a big deal.
That sort of thing. I'm going to say Niners win 31-28.
Yeah, it might be the last last game Zimmer coaches. Jeez, if I could say that, I would.
And Devin says he's got the Vikings. Jefferson is a beast. You know that combination of Jefferson and Thielen might be the best in the league. I'm not even gonna lie. And then not only do we have a division rivalry game on Sunday Night Football, we have the team that left playing the team that replaced them. We've got the Cleveland Browns going into Baltimore to take on the Ravens, who used to be the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, this is funny.
And, you got to give the Browns credit. They've won some ugly games. Nick Chubb looked good last week. These two teams always get into a war, but I just think the Ravens have more. They've got more on offense. They've got a better quarterback. Their defenses are both good, but the Ravens are more consistent.
Yeah, better coach team. I mean, if you go down the line here, check all the boxes for the Ravens. They
even have a better kicker. Let's be real. Justin Tucker is probably the best kicker in the league. And in a year of just missed field goals and extra points left, right, and center, having a great kicker is a rare commodity.
Yeah.
So
yep, I'm with you. I'm going to go with the Ravens here. I just think they're just too much.
Yeah, I mean,
don't think anyone can slow them down right now.
I think it'll probably be the Ravens, and I'm going to say, I'm going to say 30-24.
Wow.
Well, if you remember the last game they played, it was this high-scoring game that Lamar Jackson had to come back into after being injured, lead this last-minute comeback, shootout. I think we might get to something like that again.
I got a tie game here, 16-16.
Wow, man, this ain't the Steelers and Lions, bro.
Give me 28-16.
28-16. Okay. And Devin's saying 28-17 Ravens. Wow. He was close to you, bro. My man. And
head of the table.
Man, Monday Night Football isn't even that great this week.
No, these are just. It's tough. It's tough to watch a Seahawks team like this that are just struggling because it's so hard to watch that because you're not used to it.
Well, that's the thing is with some of it, you're kind of used to it because this was all the trouble they had last year. The defense wasn't stopping a lot of teams. Their offensive line was bad. Their running game wasn't so good. Russell Wilson was getting beat up. They were one-dimensional. Now they're right back to where they were. And
but Wilson doesn't even look like last year's Wilson. He looks worse.
Yeah, that's true. That's crazy. That's true. It's at least these last few games he has, but it's a lot of carryover from the end of last season, which they went and fired coaches and made moves and did everything they could to avoid, and now they're right smack bang where they were, and they just found out Chris Carson will be out for the rest of the year. He had to have neck surgery on a reoccurring injury, and so no help with the running game coming unless maybe you're willing to go out and sign Adrian Peterson. But outside of it, it's certainly not going to happen before Monday, at least you'd think. And they're going in to take on a Washington football team that has won
to watch.
That has won 2 straight games against 2 quality opponents, like teams that were in the playoff bracket. They came out, they beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then they come back and they pull out a close game against the Carolina Panthers, a game that honestly Taylor Heineke looked good in against a good defense. And I'll be honest, Seattle's defense not very fucking good.
No, not even close.
Haven't been good for a few years. Probably worse this year than they were last year. That's one of the reasons Russell Wilson looks worse. But
well, listen to this stat, Dom. Heineke combined, he has completed 42 of 54 passes for 462 yards with 4 touchdowns and no interceptions in the 2 games he just 2 back-to-back games. So it's impressive. It's impressive and it's fun to watch.
You know what? I got another one to add on top of that. The Seattle Seahawks since week 6. They've been averaging 246 total yards per game since week 6. Now I know some of those games were without Russell Wilson, but still, it's the fewest yards in the NFL in that span.
Yep.
Washington's defense has looked like they've managed to put something back together against Tampa and Carolina.
Yeah.
Seattle doesn't look like they even know how to pick up the pieces yet.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the football team in this one.
Me too.
I think they've got enough to do it. I don't even know if it's going to be close. Like I see Washington pulling this out maybe 21-9.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's so much hope in Heineke, and he just, again, I'm going to go back to it. It's fun to watch them play. So I got the football team 23-13.
23-13. No, I mean, I got to give
13.
I got to give a huge shout out to Taylor Heineke because I actually watched him play a couple of games at Old Dominion from the stands, and he looked pretty good.
Yeah.
And even back then, people kind of drew those comparisons to like Brett Favre.
Yeah.
And now that he's actually getting his opportunity and playing,
Yeah.
now all of a sudden you hear actual people like talking pro football comparing him to Brett Favre.
Yeah.
And you can see it. He's got that young gunslinging Favre mentality about him. And he's playing with some confidence now. And, you know, I don't know if it's going to pay off for the team this year, but I think when they sit down at the end of the season and they look, they might think they found their quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah. And
that is not something you could say. They probably haven't had a decent quarterback since Kirk Cousins, and he wasn't even that great.
Yeah.
At least not there, but he was better than anything they've had.
Yeah.
And so I think when you sit down with Ron Rivera and that, you know, in that front office, you're thinking to yourself, like, we've got our quarterback. Let's build around him.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of hope in that organization, and God, do they need it.
And our honorary third co-host during this live stream, Devin, has said, yeah, it's crazy, but I got Washington 30-13.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I just got breaking news here. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, go for it.
Michael Strahan is going to space.
Michael Strahan? How did he? Is this like a NASA thing, or did he work something out with the guy from Virgin Mobile at all? Or?
It is, yes, Jeff Bezos, Blue Origin.
Ah, okay. I forgot about that guy.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Crazy, dude.
Strahan in space.
Yes, sir.
Look for that documentary on Netflix next year.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy week though. I can't wait, man. I love it. Thanksgiving, sitting with the family. You know, you're full. You just ate a good meal, and you're gonna watch the Lions play.
Yeah, that was gonna be my last question before we wrapped all this up. Was if you had to pick, what is your favorite Thanksgiving side of all time?
That's a tough one. I do love me some stuffing, but it's got. That's a good one. Probably stuffing. I'm not a big fan of the yams. I mean, I love my potatoes and my, all that.
I gotta tell you, man.
Green bean casserole, but I think stuffing wins here.
I was gonna say I'm a huge fan of sweet potato casserole.
Yeah.
I'm allergic to nuts, so my mom always used to make it with like brown sugar and marshmallows on top and everything. And
marshmallows.
It's fucking delicious. Yep. I can't wait for that shit tomorrow. I can't wait for turkey. I can't wait for these games.
Potatoes, tomatoes.
Yeah, exactly. I got it all.
I'm stoked, man. Can't wait.
I'm excited too. Like it's gonna be a fun holiday. It's gonna be. I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna say a full day of good games, but at least 2 out of the 3 could be very entertaining, and the other one you might be able to sleep through once you've had too much turkey. It just depends on when you eat.
Well, Meatloaf said it best: 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So.
Oh, Devin's saying since he's vegan mac and cheese. Okay.
Oh, okay, that sounds pretty.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with being vegan. I'm not, but nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, not a thing. We don't judge here.
But we're gonna wrap up, get up out of here. But before we do that, I'm just once again gonna thank Nikki and let him have the floor for a moment. Let everybody know where they can find you, where they can listen to your other podcasts, where they can. Because if you're a wrestling fan and you don't know about the UW Pod, I don't know how the fuck you call yourself a wrestling fan. So please enlighten the people.
UW Pod. Yes. You can find us on Twitter at the UW Pod and Instagram at UW Podcast. And we got a pretty big guest coming on the show. We just recorded it last night. It will drop on December 1st. It is Mr. Professor 318 himself, Nick Harrison. You might have heard about him on TikTok. Really good dude, man. He is so humble. I don't know. It was such a good interview. So look out for that. Again, Dom, I appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving to all and to you too, my brother from another mother.
Oh yeah, happy Thanksgiving to you, my man, Nicky from South Jersey. We gotta give him all the credit in the world. He's become my rolling co-host throughout this season and the Tri-State twosome has been in full effect. But yes, happy Thanksgiving to you. And of course, happy Thanksgiving to Devin, who's shouting us out in the comments here. Thank you for playing along. We appreciate it, homie. We're going to get you back on this show.
Yes.
One of these days, you're going to get back on this show. I guarantee it. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, if you have anything you want us to talk about on these shows, on these live streams, you can hit me up personally on Twitter at @S_Philly Psycho. You can find all our other shows, this one included, on YouTube at TRWT parentheses of Fox Den John. Spike Lee has joints. I have Johns. They're just a little more low budget. And then for our audio podcast, I mean, we're pretty much available wherever podcasts are. But if you want to run down in one spot, go to anchor.fm/FoxDen, and you'll see all our platforms. Pick your favorite, follow us, rate us, share us, do all the things. All of it. In this Thanksgiving season, give back to some guys trying to grind to get ahead in this world.
Yeah, love it.
And for both of us, I just want to say thank you for watching. Yep. Thank you for listening. Happy Thanksgiving to one and all. Enjoy your games this week. Enjoy all your fantasy stuff. We hope everybody's teams win. If you don't, there's still a few weeks left. I don't know. If you're a Jags fan, look forward to that draft pick. I don't know. Maybe you get an upset this week. Let's just keep your fingers crossed. But thank you once again. Enjoy your holiday. Everybody stay safe out there. Loosen those belts and have a ball, and we will catch you next week. Peace, y'all.